hated her for that. My brother was starting hating her for that. I never meant to aim at boxing. Boxing came along a bit later, because of certain inevitable circumstances that I was facing in my life. I wasn't really into it, I just find myself into it and hooked to that sport. It's been hard for me to quit, and it wasn't my intent, to increase that, because she already had to deal with someone like me, I just moved on.
I am the father, you are my youngest son. Champion to the world. Winners only, that's why they say that I'm champion to your girl. Gucci all in my waist now, every champion needs a bell. Winners recognize winners, if you're a champion, I can tell.
By moving on, I was enjoying different things, singing, I was also pretty good at singing. I was a part of a group. We were, having concert all over Brussels. People were starting loving us, but also, that was asking investments, financial investment that a young kids from 12 years old cannot afford, you see. Because when you have to produce your own CD, you have to produce your own mixtape or your own tracks. It's not like today you have those artists who record themselves their own tracks. At my times, you had to go to a record label who will have record that track for you to make it look professional. Because with that mixtape, you could have the chance to go to any distribution company that will have signed you and propose you a contract, right? You know what I mean? So yeah, because I realized also it was a problem of investment, I said, okay, let's find something that I can actually afford. And as I said, the inevitable circumstances was where I was living. That area was a tough neighborhood. Every people who come from poor background, most of the time, they don't choose where they grow up, We are surrounded by people who are poor, so poverty brings poor choices, in life. So those poor choices most time brings also poor action, which are also attached to violence, angers and everything you can imagine. So I've been victim of bullies under my 15 years old, and because I've been bullied my whole young age until I reached 15. Those inevitable circumstances I was mentioning was those circumstances, being bullied. I was getting beat up every day, every single day in school. I was getting beat up because I was a clever kid in school, and all those bullies was asking me to give them, those answers you have when you have some tests. And those teachers, because they were scared of the family of those bullies, because the school was also in a poor area. So those bullies was coming from family who were, kind of big names on the hood. So those teachers knew the reputation of the family of those guys. So they weren't taking my side, And I've been a bit left alone myself without having any justice. So yeah, I think that these have been the inevitable circumstances that push me to have that thought of engaging myself into any combat sport possible, to find a way to create that turnover. Because all you want when you are into it is create a turnover. Because it's brought me even suicidal thoughts. You don't know what it is to go in school every day, knowing that the next day you're going to get beat up, you're going to get stabbed, you're going to get robbed, you're going to get everything, and knowing that those people remind you that that's going to be your life for the rest of your days, for the rest of your life, that's going to be your everyday routine for the rest of your life. Believe me, you just want to end up that burden, you see, because you think that you've been imprisoned. That's what we say, imprisoned, huh? Yeah, imprisoned wrongly, and for life sentence. So you just want to end it. You say if life is pretty much it, I don't want to live.
Hey, quick notice, guy. If you're new to this channel or you've been watching and listening to this podcast and you enjoy it and you find it insightful for your career and for your own knowledge, please join us, subscribe, turn on the ring bell to never miss an episode. And make sure to share it with your loved one for those it will also bring value. Sharing is caring. It was Liz, your favorite host on the Champion Family Podcast.
And so I decided to join boxing. I said, okay, let's start. Before boxing, I started many different sports, but I was all the time looking for something, all the time looking for improving something until I traveled all of those different types of sports, grappling, wrestling, Muay Thai, and until when I reached Muay Thai, because I was looking for sports that are more similar with the violence you can face on the streets, I decided to join boxing to improve now my fist striking approach. Because you have to understand, the funny thing is, I wasn't in love with boxing. I never meant to aim at boxing, because boxing, first of all, I wasn't love it. I was pretty fan of Bruce Lee, martial arts, all those kicks who are flying on the top, So I was just going there to just improving my fist striking, When I integrate that boxing school for the first time, I discovered the science of boxing, what people call the sweet science. How to avoid the kicks, how to hit before getting hit, because that's not the philosophy of Muay Thai. That's not the philosophy of MMA. And MMA, even at my time, wasn't even exist. We had wrestling, we had kickboxing, Muay Thai, but that wasn't their philosophy. When you do Muay Thai or kickboxing, you get hit all the time, because you're not looking for to back up. What you're looking for to do is all the time to move on, and get the hit and try to develop a certain pain resistance, you see. But that wasn't my philosophy. And my philosophy was all the time be clever. I always wanted to use my brain, I always been creative, and I always look a way to perform a certain things without having to get too much rough time into it. And so boxing was the best in between. Combat sports, power, strengthen, but also you can avoid shots. And you see that sensation of avoiding the shots that come close to your face for a fraction of a second, that that if you weren't on the right time, it could have reached you, and that could even have lead you to getting knocked out. That sensation of risk, I think that's the same sensation that people live and feel when they go doing the jump on helicopters.
Yes.
Jump on helicopters with parachutes. I don't know if you could call it that way. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm a French speaker, so no.
We both are.
So yeah, these jump on helicopters and all the stuff people do, by trying to expose themselves into a higher rate of risk, and enjoying the adrenaline that are released. And I think I felt that during boxing, because boxing, as I said, is not a sport. Sport you can play. That's an enjoyment. You enjoy, you play, and when it's done, that's it, you move on. Boxing, you stay. Boxing, at the end of your careers, you will have some stigma left. Your body will be hurt. Your mindset may get tired a bit, because, all those pressure training, that's not a sport. That's a gladiator's arena. That's how I call it. That's how I see it.
I think it's really good things for our next podcast.
Yeah. And so that's not a sport. That's not a sport, and that's not something you choose. That's something that's choosing you. And that's the reason why I understood that now, that even the life I've been living wasn't by random. Because if you ask me how athletes turn into that sport and make themselves become champion, not everyone can be champion, because you have to have that background. You may be in combat sport for a certain period of time, or just learning some skills, but performing at the highest level, meaning getting involved into competition, even national competition, and excel into it, not just participate it, but excel into it. against the best of your division, of your time, you have to have a certain strong intention. So the intention have to come from the why, but also the characters. So the characters, which is called the mental attitude, the characters, it's built on the vestige of your past experience. You cannot become a strong character unless you live strong situations. So that would be the reason why I started boxing, and it wasn't even to become champion. And I think if you ask every champion, of combat sport, they will tell you, when we started, we weren't really dreaming about becoming world champion or even excel at an international level. We were just looking for to release some frustration, to discover ourselves, to push the limitation of what we once knew being our identity and replacing it by another one. That was the reason why I started boxing, and that was the reason even why many champions became champion and why they start combat sports. Discipline. That's it. So no, it never been a reason about being champion. You decide to be a champion when you go to football. You don't decide to be champion when you first go in a boxing gym. When you decide to be champion, it comes later on, but not at the beginning. You only come to tame certain feeling that must be tamed, otherwise that will drive you crazy.
Wow.
Thank
you. That was quite complete. I hope you like it.
Thank you, champion family, and thank you so much to our sponsor, without whom this podcast right now will never be able to happen, and you will not enjoy it. So massive shout out and thank you to Only One Management, to BJ All For You, to Mile Beauty, and the General Big Show himself. Thank you so much for your constant support to make it happen. We do appreciate you guys a lot. And if you would like to be featured into this fantastic podcast, or even sponsor us, please shoot your shots. Contact us in the bio, and we'll make sure to have a spot on board for you into this massive rocket. Alright? See you soon. Thank you, champion family.